Okay, we're back. I don't know how this one is gonna be though because I increased the bit rate to what it wanted me to, and I don't see it on the stream section. So let's see if it shows up real quick. Yeah, it looks like it's there. It's trying to connect, so we're gonna give that a minute. All right, great. It connected. So we're back. We're back. Let me know in the chat. It looks like there's one viewer. Let me know in the chat if it's not working. It seems to be frozen. So let me know if it's working or not in the chat when you get a chance. But for now, we'll continue. Hopefully it's working for you guys. Looks like the warning went away, so hopefully it's a little smoother. All right, but here we go. So our next objective is to do our Java mapping. So we have our base repository. Oh yeah, everything's probably going to go way slower now. Go gadget, base repository. All right, so let me stop this build because it doesn't need to build really yet. We're not ready for that. And then let's see if we can't go to base repository. Maybe I'll quit and try to reopen because now I can't really do anything. So I'm going to close my solution quick and then I'll just try to reopen. All right, thanks, Samo. Seems like maybe the stream is better, or at least working. I think Visual Studio is hating on me right now, so I'm going to close it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's not letting me open it. Nope, and now I got another warning from YouTube. I don't know what's happening. Sincerest apologies if it's not working too well. Just going to let Visual Studio open, and then as promised, we will get to that Java side. Okay, it's working. So I'm going to open base repository in Android. Yours should be open. Mine had to quit. And then I'm also going to open the base repository in iOS because they're going to be pretty similar, minus their specific calls to Firebase. And we'll start on the get method. So the get method definitely is going to look very similar to this, except Android is going to need a couple extra classes, and those are going to be like completion listeners. So we'll get to that, but first let's go into our get method. Let's remove this throw. So we'll say var TCS, because we need that task completion source, equals new task completion source. And this will be of type T, not bool. And then we'll just return tcs.task, and that gives the shared project something to await. And now we can make our call to Firebase. So we can say firebase.firestore. I think we have to go through Firebase Firestore. And then get instance. And then from here, we can I think get instance is a method. All right, hold on 1 second. I think we can just use instance. Yeah. All right, so from here, so we're going to use Firebase Firestore. Let's get rid of these so we can import the namespace, and then we don't have to keep typing that, because we're going to be typing that kind of a lot. So you can import using Firebase.Firestore. And so now we have Firebase Firestore.instance. And then from here, we can get our collection. And we need the collection name, which comes from the child, right? So it'll be document path, which we don't have yet. So we need to make that. And so we need, let's go up, and we'll make that abstract string. So we can just do protected abstract string, and this will be document path. And this just needs a get, really. And so now any child of this will need to declare a document path, just like we did on iOS. So if we go back to the iOS base repository somewhere, yep, just same thing. This one's public. We can just keep it protected for now. And so now in the Android project, we have collection, document path, and then from here we can do document, and this can be we have two options, right? We have document, which is empty, and then we have the document path, and this is going to be that Firebase auth instance user ID, right? So we can say instance. We're probably going to want to shorten this up, but we'll say firebase.auth.instance. It's probably Firebase auth, yeah. We're going to have to import that to make it easier, but so we have firebase.auth.firebaseauth.instance. We can get our current user, and then we can get their user ID. And so that'll be the document path we want. Let's take a look at iOS, because I think we did it a little bit differently, right? We went get collection. That's right. We're not getting the user ID. We're getting the document ID. So let's do that. So not user ID. Let's get the document of the document ID that gets passed in. It's going to say that doesn't seem right. And then from here, we're going to go ahead and just get the document, but it's not going to bring in like a snapshot and an error. It'll be a little bit different, and we'll see how it is right here. So we can say document again. I think maybe it's get. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, it's get. All right, so we can say .get. And just for, if you guys are curious, so we have this, I'm going to bring this over. We have the Firebase Docs, and so this lets us take a look at how they do it natively, and all we're doing is converting it to C#, really. So if we go to read data, we can go to Java for Android, and we'll see that it does this collections.get. That's to get a whole collection. We're just getting a single document. Anyway, .get, and then what we need to do is add a onComplete listener. So that'll be that extra class that we need to make. So I'll put this down here. So anyway, so we have .get, and then we need to add this onCompleteListener. Now we don't have an onCompleteListener yet, so we need to make one. And this onCompleteListener is going to extend from this onCompleteListener, or it's going to implement it. So just at the bottom of our class for now, did we do this already? I think we did this already. I think we did. I think we did this for profile information maybe. I don't know. I'm trying to look. I don't see where we're using it, but it's here. Let me check the repository to see when I did that. Oh, we did that in episode 16. All right, my mistake. We don't need to make a new one. We have one. But we'll notice, we'll look, and we'll see that this one is returning an authenticated user. We need it to kind of abstract out to not just return an authenticated user. So let's make another one that's not just for authenticated user, but it's for all of our repository. So good news and bad news. The good news is we don't need to make a class for it in this. We already have the folder for it, service listeners. So let's add it there. So under service listeners, under the Android project, let's right click, add new class. And this class is also going to be onCompleteListener, but it can't be named the same. So let's call this one a document on document complete listener, because we also have like collection, which would be like the get all. And then we have like save and delete. So this one is just to read a single document. So we'll say on document complete listener. And pretty much the same thing. This one needs to extend from a java.lang. Import the using. Guess it's going to take a minute to realize that there's an error. Anyway, it's going to be, oh, there it is. Java.lang.object, okay? And then it also needs onCompleteListener. And this one comes from android.gms.tasks, that's right. And then it needs to implement the interface, which has the onComplete. So that's all good. So now that we have this, let me make sure I can still see my comments. 1 second. Okay, so I can still see comments. I'll just try to keep an eye on those. But anyway, so now that we have this, we want a task completion source to be passed to us. So let's put this in the constructor. It'll be a task completion source. And it'll be of type T, which doesn't really exist yet. So let's go ahead and add that up here onto the onDocument complete listener. So we'll put a T here in as a typed parameter. So we have this task completion source. We need to import the using for system.threading.tasks. And then we can just call this TCS is fine. Now we get this this issue because it's ambiguous, right? It's ambiguous between system threadings task and this GMS tasks.task. And so what we'll do is we will say using task equals android.gms.tasks.task. And the reason for that is because all of the reference to task we're going to do in here is most likely going to be for that Android one. Anyway, we need to cache this locally, right? So we passed in this TCS. We need to cache it. So I'll use an underscore, and I'll say underscore TCS equals TCS, and that'll save it locally. We have an error because that property or data member doesn't exist, so we'll quick fix, and it'll generate the field. So that's perfect. So we have that, and then we can check this on complete. So the first thing we'll want to do is make sure that task is successful. So we'll say if task.is successful. And so this is where we will, I'm not going to use a comment, but this is where we're going to return that document from the get, right? And so what we'll do is we'll say var, we can just call it doc object is fine. And that will equal task.result. And so now that we have a reference to that object, we can make sure it is a document reference. So we can say if doc_obj, which if we look, is just a Java Lang object. So we need to make sure it is a document reference. So we can say if it is a document reference, and then we can use a quick fix for Firestore. And then we can call this one docRef, which should be fine. So if it is this, then this is where that extension method comes into play, and I don't think we have that yet. It doesn't look like it. So we're going to say TCS.trySetResult, and this will be docRef.parse, and we'll parse or convert. Let's do convert because that's like the naming convention we've been using, and it'll return our it'll convert it into a type T. So we don't have that method yet. We'll create it. So that error is going to stay there for a moment. And then we can just return. Otherwise, so none of that is true. So if it's not a document reference, we can't really parse it. And so we will just try to set the result to like the default T, right? So just default. And then we can return from here as well. Otherwise, so if task is not successful, then we can use our little comment, something went wrong. And then we can set the result again, just, not exception, we will set result. And this will be default as well. And then we'll call base.onComplete. Looks like there isn't a base.onComplete, so that's fine. So since this is the case, we don't actually need both of these. We only need one. So let's delete these, right? So in the task.is successful, let's just delete that because otherwise, this will return. Otherwise, I get to here anyway, so there's no reason to have two. So now we need to make this convert extension. But first, before we do that, let's head back to our base repository and let's add our completion listener here. So we'll say new, and this will be our on document complete listener. And it takes in that TCS that we created. And then we'll need a quick fix to bring in the namespace, and that should be good there. Needs a type parameter. Yep, and that's fine. So we'll just bring in this typed parameter here. We'll just put it there, right? So new on document complete listener with the typed parameter and then the TCS. So that is good. So errors are gone here. And so now we need to make that convert method. So let's do that. So we'll go into the base of the root of the Android project, and we're going to add a new folder. I'm going to call this one extensions. And then just like the iOS one where we had, what do we call it, document snapshot extensions, we need a document, and this one could be reference, right? So add new class document reference extensions. So document reference extensions. Okay, so we have public class document reference extensions. This needs to be a static class, right? Because it's extensions. And then we can get rid of the constructor. And now we can make our document extension. So let's make our first one, which just returns a T. So this will be public static, and it'll just return a T, which isn't declared yet, but it will be here in a moment. And then this will be called convert. And then this is where we declare it, right? So convert T. This will take in a document reference, and we need to use a quick fix to import the using for Firebase.Firestore. And we can just call this doc is fine, it doesn't matter. And now we need to do the mapping, right? So this one might work well with Newtonsoft. We're going to try it. If it doesn't, then it'll be the same thing as Sunday. You know, we'll try it. If it doesn't work, then I'll do some attempts on my own, and then I'll come back and not waste your time. But for now, let's do this. So we'll say try. We're going to put this in a try catch because Newtonsoft will throw exceptions if it can't parse. So we can catch that exception actually. So try catch, and this one will be we'll just catch all exceptions is fine for now. Probably should be a JSON, I think it's called a JSON parse exception, but so this will be an exception, and then we'll just log this for now. So system.diagnostics.debug.writeLine, and it doesn't matter. We're going to put a breakpoint here, I think. So exception thrown is fine. And then that's it. That's all I'm going to do. Because I'm going to put a breakpoint here. If we get an exception, I want to know what it is, right? So system.diagnostics.debug.writeLine, and then exception thrown. Doesn't matter what you put there. Most people put something like the e.message. But I want to see it when it happens. So I'm going to put a breakpoint there. Oh, hello, easy blocks. Oh, blocks. That's, whoops. All right, I'm going to say hi in chat because it's faster than like vocally. All right, anyway, so here we are. So we're going to do that conversion thing just like we did on iOS. So it'll be that we're going to get that JSON string, and that'll be from Newtonsoft, which we need to add. So let's add it. Sorry, I thought we had it. That was in the iOS project. So before we continue here, let's return default so that error goes away. So at the bottom of this convert method, I just returned a default. We're going to delete that. But I want to add that package for Newtonsoft. So I'm going to right click packages. On Mac, it's manage NuGet packages. And then Newtonsoft's most of the time, it's right at the top. Yep, Newtonsoft.json. We're going to add that package. Give that a second to load. Okay, looks like that added. And so from here, we can parse that string now. So once yours is done, you can say var JSON string or whatever equals Newtonsoft. No. You're there, I know it. Newtonsoft. Okay, I'm gonna, I don't know, clean maybe. Yeah, it's there. I don't know why it's saying it's not there. Let's see. Newtons. Oh, there it goes. Perfect. Okay. So var JSON string equals Newtonsoft.json, JSON convert, and then we're going to serialize this document. Not the whole document. so it's data. You know what? Let me go back to this. I wonder if docref has a document. One second. Let me take a look at the documentation real quick. Okay, I think we don't want to do a document reference. I think we want to do a document snapshot. So we're going to keep everything else the same. In our onDocument complete listener, let's change that reference to a snapshot. So document snapshot, which means we would want to change this name, otherwise it doesn't make sense. But for the time being, so in our extension in Android, let's change document reference to a document snapshot. And now we should have access to document.data. Perfect. And so document data is an iDictionary of string for the key and Java lang object for the value type. So how did I learn to code in this language? Well, I think it started, I used to work in just Java for Android and Objective-C for iOS, but I started getting pretty interested in like the ASP stuff and like the web, and which I'm not super interested in anymore. But then, along came Unity, which you can use C# for, and Xamarin, which I've fallen in love with, and you can use C# for. So C# ended up being very versatile, and it increased its value to me. So I dove right into C#, and I've been doing it for quite a few years now. I'm not going to type all that, so that I think there's like a 10-second delay. You should see an answer to your question soon. I'm sorry for the delay, though. I still haven't figured out how to fix that. But anyway, so we have var JSON string equals, and then it's newtonsoft.json, JSON convert, serialize the data. And so that will serialize this into a dictionary. And then what we want to do from here is convert that. So we're going to say var item equals newtonsoft.json, JSON convert, and we're going to deserialize that object, and that'll be of type T, and that'll be the JSON string. Next, we're going to want to set that item's ID. Yep, so there's something I missed here, actually. So we need to tell this method that T is an identifiable. That's why we didn't have access to ID, actually. So like if you try ID, it doesn't work. And so what we'll do is at the end of this method declaration, we're going to say where T extends identifiable. And then you should use a quick fix to import that namespace, and you should be good. More Roblox tutorials. Yes, I actually really want to. It just comes down to time. So I just actually finished up a game in Roblox, which was super fun to make. So I do want to continue to make tutorials for Roblox. And as soon as I can, I will. I promise. I was going to try to do that this week, but I just haven't had time. So yeah, I'll definitely be doing it. The game that I made, I want to make a tutorial on, which would still pause the, what is it? What's the other one called? The Battle Lobby or something? Battle Royale. So it would pause the Battle Royale, because the Battle Royale is going to be a super long one, but a lot of people are interested, so I don't want to pause it all the way. So I'm still up in the air on where I'm going to go with Roblox, but I definitely want to continue Roblox tutorials. Sure, no problem. So deserialize object. into our JSON, so that'll bring it the item. Now we know it has an ID because the interface requires it, and so we can say item.id, and so now it's there, and that'll equal this doc.id, and that's perfect. Doc.id is a string, item ID is a string, but it's read only. Yeah. So let's go to this iIdentifiable, and let's change that from a get only to a get set. So you have to be able to set it. That's the thing. So that shouldn't break anything anywhere, but it is required. So that iIdentifiable happened to be in the same file as iRepository. I normally don't like doing that, but that's how it is right now. We'll clean that up. But that allows us to set this ID, and then we can just return this item. And so otherwise, we'll catch this exception, and then I guess we can keep return default. Doesn't matter. So we'll keep return default. So that should work on converting one single item. So that's perfect. So the onDocumentComplete listener, we have this convert, but the namespace isn't there. So let's quick fix, and we should be able to bring in that extensions that we did. And now we have an issue where it must be an iIdentifiable, but we didn't put that restriction here, so we need to. So at the top on onDocumentComplete listener, we're going to maybe drop a line for neatness, and we're going to say where T implements iIdentifiable. And then you can use a quick fix and bring in services, and then that should fix all of that. So now convert is good. It's happy with T because it's an iIdentifiable. And so try set results. So this all works, or it seems to work. Last thing we need to do is use it, right? So we have the base repository, but we don't have this test data repository. So let's make that. So in services, just like on the iOS project, we're going to right click, add new class, and this will be a test data repository. Wait. I wonder if we could put all this in the shared well, minus the Firebase stuff, but we've got a lot of, I'll do that on my own time. But yeah, I think we're going to try to move some of this to the shared project because I'm starting to see a lot of duplicate files. Anyway, so let's do this. So in services, let's add a new class, and it'll be test data repository. Just like the iOS one, we want this one to implement or inherit from base. Base repository needs a type, so we'll say test data. And then we need to import the using there. And then we need to provide that document path. The document path is going to be exactly the same. This is why I'm thinking there's some shared project stuff here. Like for example, this test data repository is literally identical. So we'll just paste that in here. I just replaced everything with it. This public is going to be an issue because we have it set as protected, which is fine. Otherwise, you have this Firebase auth default instance, blah, blah, blah. Let's comment that out. And then just kind of above it, we're going to delete it here in a second. Just above it, plus firebase.auth.firebaseauth is what this one is. Instance current user UID. And so I'll delete this comment. I'll leave this up for a second, so you can type this in, and then we'll move on. All right. So from here, we can head back to all right, hold on. Before we go, we need to declare this as a dependency. So right above the namespace, let's say assembly dependency, right? And then you can use a quick fix for Xamarin.Forms, not the compiler services. And then this will be of test data repository. Needs to be a type of test data repository. And if we look in the iOS project, we should see that it's, you know, it's identical, right? So these are the same. They don't do anything special or specific. We can close those. And now we can test this, at least the get method, right? So we need the document ID, which I think we deleted. So let's head over to, I'm going to minimize all these and then reopen the shared project. We're going to head over to the test page model, so the time clock page model. We'll scroll down to that little test area that, you know, this var result equals and then if result. And so instead of save, I'm going to comment all this out because we're just going to come back to it. And then I'm going to put in that stuff that we had before, right? And so before we had var item equals await, and this is page model locator dot resolve iRepository, and this takes in a test data typed parameter, and then we'll just say get, and we need to provide some kind of ID. So we can do that by going to our Firebase. Where did it go? There it is. Let me put these together. All right, so we can do that. We can go in here, grab one of these IDs. I'm going to just grab this one that has like the Boeing and stuff. I'm going to copy that ID, and I'm going to paste it as the parameter in this method. And so now we can check to make sure everything mapped, right? So we say if item does not equal null, and we can put a breakpoint there. And then I'm going to press run, and I have a feeling it's going to take a super long time to build. Perhaps that'll give you a chance to catch up. And then, you know, I'll cut all of this out of the actual edited episode. So it's the only thing. I do wish these builds went a lot faster. That's one of the biggest bummers, especially about Android, but iOS has gotten worse. Android has always been terrible. Oh, and we're running a little short on time, so if this works, I think this will be probably the end of the episode, because this should cover 21 and 22, I think. I should find something cool to show while it's loading. I guess we can go over the documentation, right? Because the next thing we're going to do is read like a collection. So read data. Get data once. No. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what we want, right? But we want a whole collection, not just a regular single read. So let's see what their documentation has there. So get a document, get multiple documents from a collection, list all the sub-collections. This is awesome. So get all documents in a collection. This is the get all that we're doing. And so this will, you know, do basically what we already did, except we got one document. This gets a whole collection. And then we're just adding the completion listener there. But this doesn't take in a document. What was the other one? I think it's a document reference, right? No, document snapshot. That's right. So we checked to see if it was a document snapshot, and then we handled it. This takes in like the task of a query snapshot, and then we'll go through each query document snapshot, and we'll just do the conversion again, and then we can parse it to a list there, and then return. That should be good. That should be pretty easy. Just in time. Looks like the app is about to go. Maybe. Hopefully. List sub-collections of a document. Not available. Perfect. Get multiple documents from a collection. Yep, that's what we just looked at. Oh, I see. Where equal to. Oh, cool. All right. I don't think we'll be doing that too often, to be honest, because we're going to use SQLite. So this will just, our repositories are mainly going to sync up SQLite with Cloud Firestore, but we're going to do all of our operations with SQLite. Custom objects, yeah, we already do that, so that's no problem. Cool. So as soon as this loads, it's taking a minute. I apologize for that. As soon as it loads, we will just make sure it works, and then that's probably where we'll call this episode. Still installing. Take a minute to check these YouTube errors because I see they're still happening. Now it's back to port. It says you're going to get buffering. I hope that's not true. If it is, I apologize for sure. I wonder if it's just video buffering or if if it's everything, you know, even the audio. That would stink. All right, here we go. We got an app. We got one running. We have one trying to run, not to be confused with actually running. Oh, it's trying so hard. Got a bunch of errors that aren't mine. That's good. I like that. Are they all not mine, really? Yeah. Here we go. It loaded. I don't know why that took so long. So we're going to log in with our test user just like normal. So hello. Oh, wow. That is awesome. Oh, I guess it's going better now. Note to self, start Android emulator before the stream starts. Okay, we're here. We should get that breakpoint. Oh no, we got one on the exception. All right, so let's see. Something didn't like that whole mapping thing. Okay, I guess we'll add it to watch since it doesn't want to be looked at. Invalid cast. Okay, so we tried to cast something that was not allowed to be cast. So that's not good. Okay, so that's what we'll work on next time. So we currently have a non-working Android version and a working iOS version. So that's excellent. So item is null, right? It should be. Yep, item's null. Okay, so no crash, but the mapping isn't working. So it's like the same as iOS. It was, we tried this JSON idea, didn't really work. So we'll have to make that object mapper, and that's okay. But we're going to do that next time. So I think the next stream I can do is Sunday. But I think I'm going to try to do a Roblox one on Friday. We're going to see. Hopefully I can. But I'm definitely going to continue this one on Sunday. So I hope to see you guys there. When this comes out, like, comment, subscribe. You're going to see the episode 21 and possibly 22 coming soon. And those will be the edited versions of just this. So if you watch this, you can use that as a quick reference. But you're not going to see anything new in those episodes. Other than that, thanks for tuning in. I had fun. I hope you had fun. Hope to see more. Join the live stream so you can ask questions I can answer. I super like engaging. But other than that, thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Take care.